Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tim Coffin. I'm the CEO of Tristar Eships. For those of us who, I think I know everybody here. No, there's somebody. So what I do is, what Tristar Eships does is we own and operate a fleet of merchant ships, mostly oil tankers, product carriers. We also operate a couple of gas carriers, bulk carrier, mixed fleet, and we have a bunkering business here, based here in the UAE. And it's those bunkering vessels, and one in particular, that I'd like to talk about today. What I wish to relate to you today is the shipowner's perspective. How do we look at green financing? How do we look at investing in green vessels? What is available today if you're trying to innovate, and why are we trying to innovate? If you're innovating, you're taking technical and commercial risks, which perhaps you don't find in the conventional market, and you don't necessarily consider if you're looking at financing a vessel. But it's a challenge trying to get the entire ecosystem, the industrial ecosystem of people we're dependent on, to help you on your way in innovation, because naturally people are a little bit wary of risks that are being taken. So just to outline those challenges, our builder, firstly, we had to find a builder willing to build a vessel that's battery powered. He had to understand our remit and have the confidence to build it. And so often we got lucky with our builder. So often with innovative projects, the people want to get creative, and that can be both a risk and also a benefit. Anyway, you will be able to identify this ship if you find yourself in Fujairah, because it's the one without a funnel. Our class society needed to understand what we were doing, and again, they worked hard to understand the design, and they remain hugely cooperative. And similarly, flag authorities here in the UAE, the vessel is homeported in Fujairah, have welcomed the inclusion of a sort of prototype to the domestic fleet. And finally, we needed a battery supplier. Batteries, and as many of you will know, batteries in salt water are not natural bedfellows, and so we needed to find somebody who had the right technology and the right understanding of what we were trying to achieve. And more importantly, the battery technology, as we're all aware, is changing very, very rapidly. And consequently, the battery that we started with at the beginning of this project, when we started to talk to people about it, and the battery that we're ending up with are completely different products. They're completely different animals. The good news is, of course, that the battery business is improving rather than deteriorating, and so we're ending up with a far better battery than we originally conceived. More importantly, we expect the technology to change during the life of the vessel. So how do you arrange for commercial flexibility to ensure that you have the ability to load on a better battery in 5 years' time or whatever it is? So firming up the battery specifications was difficult. And since there's a battery, as we all know, it needs to be charged. And we can't charge it off of the generator we have a diesel generator on the vessel, and it's tuned to biofuel. So in fact, this ship might never emit any harmful gases at all, which would be great. But it can't be charged by the diesel generator all the time. It needs to plug in. And we're very grateful, I'll put it as diplomatically as I can, we're very grateful to the Port of Fujairah for agreeing to basically dig up their quayside and install high-capacity power cabling. And finally, most importantly, we needed our charterer to support the project. It's not in our... Tristar is not a speculator of ships. We don't try to buy low and sell high. We're long-term, we're effectively tonnage suppliers. And what that means is that we needed a charterer who was sort of on side and supporting us from the beginning of the project all the way through, and willing to take the risk. And so we needed somebody who knows us well and who we know well, and we couldn't do it without having that kind of relationship. Now, in their quest, the charterer's quest, which is entirely reasonable, they're bunker traders, and so they think in much shorter periods of time than we do as ship owners. Our horizon is 25 years, or the life of a vessel. Their horizon is about 25 minutes, and so there's a conflict of intent, or a sort of a crossing of swords when it comes to how to agree on the approach to the future. And naturally, they played a game in which they claimed disinterest, and they said, well, we're not going to pay you $1 more than we would a conventional tanker. But they're a large, multinational, well-known brand name oil major, and they publish a CSR report every year where they extol their virtues as forward-thinking and having better consciousness than the rest of us, and they're environmentally sound and all the rest of it. So somehow, I couldn't exactly tell you how their executive board discovered that we were building a clean solution to a dirty business, and we got the rate we needed. So all of these participants did something that they wouldn't have otherwise have done, and they each reached out. And so given these hurdles, we chose to fund the project with equity. I had one conversation with a prospective lender who said, well, look, deliver 10 of these things and we might finance you. That doesn't really help. I can understand their approach because they're lenders. They're supposed to be very careful with what is ultimately social capital or public capital. And so it's not really in their remit to some extent to provide risk finance, which is what this would effectively be. And what it means is that the grassroots, the break it till you make it crowd, is very difficult to finance. And more than that, the projects that we're talking about typically are fairly small scale. We're not going to take this kind of risk on a VLCC, right? We're going to take it on a bunker tanker because it's 3% of the price or whatever. And so because they're relatively small projects, the whole process of financing an industry, which is kind of making it up as we go along in very small chunks, the process of financing that type of industrial behavior is very inefficient. So to the extent that low carbon finance exists, it's hard to find a match between the guys who are innovating and the guys who are lending. There's a difference of agenda that makes it remarkably challenging. And I don't have the answers to that, but I'm sure some of the people, my illustrious panelists, I hope that some of them do. And in the meantime, I shall captivate you no further. Thank you very much.